Hi, welcome to howtostats.com. In this video I'm going to talk about dealing with outliers. In a previous video presentation, in fact in two different video presentations, I talked about a wrong way of detecting outliers, and then I uploaded a presentation on the right way to detect outliers using the outlier labeling rule. Now, when you identify an outlier, what are you supposed to do with it? Well, this is what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to talk about two methods of dealing with outliers: trimming and Winsorizing. So here's the outline. What is trimming? When should we use it? What is Winsorizing? When should we use it? And some final considerations. So trimming, what is it? It's the removal of outlying data points from the data set. It's literally just removing any data point that you're convinced is an outlier. Here's a really basic example. 10, 15, 16, 17, and 22 are 5 data points. Now the suspicion is that the value of 10 and 22 are significantly deviant from the remaining portion of the distribution based on whatever rule you might be using. Now, to trim them, you simply remove them, and now you're down to a data set with just 3 data points, so you've lost a significant amount of power. And this is what people would call 20% trimmed, because it's 20% of the data set. 2 out of 5 data points is 20%. That's a pretty significant trimming rate. Trimming, so when should we use it? According to Hawkins, we should trim data when we have typographical errors. So this is the instance where you're convinced there's a typographical error because it's a data point that's beyond the maximum possible. And if you do not have any hard copy data to go back upon to verify what the data point is, you're pretty much left with having to delete it or trim it. Measurement error. If you have a breakdown in the measurement, which is a very obvious reason to remove an outlying data point, but another case would be when the same person is doing a test twice, and it was only supposed to be a sample of people doing the test once. So an intelligence test, somebody remembered all the answers and questions to a test, and it's being done twice. So that's a measurement error. You'd remove them in that case. And the other one is a contaminated distribution. So you only want to look at data from a particular group level. Let's just say mid-level managers, and for whatever reason a senior manager is actually in the data is in the sample, and it's skewing the data point, the distribution, and they're actually an outlier. In those cases, you would feel comfortable just removing them from the data set. And here's an example where, let's just say we had mid-level manager salaries, and this one observation was later determined to be a senior level manager earning $135,000 a year, and you would just simply remove them. And this is what your data set would be. They would just be removed. So that's a very easy way to remove an outlier. But when your sample size is really small, you might be really disappointed that you're having to remove an outlier because your sample size is smaller, you lose power. Now, Winsorizing, what is it? And I suspect this is the more commonly used, or the circumstance under which you will be having to deal with an outlier. And it's the modification of one or more data points at the end of the tails of the distribution to the next highest, lowest values within the distribution that are not suspected to be outliers. Now that's a mouthful. What it really means, and using that very basic example again, we've got 10, 15, 16, 17, and 22. So now instead of trimming or removing or truncated, sometimes people call it truncating, instead of trimming, we simply modify the value of 10 to 15